by its quality. The farm manager is usually regarded as the entrepreneur in agriculture. Now we will be moving on to the principles of demand and supply. Demand is the quantity of goods a consumer is willing and ready to buy at a given price over a given period of time. The quantity of goods that a consumer is ready and willing to buy at a given price over a given period of time. It is the ability and the willingness to buy specific quantities of goods or services at alternative prices over a given period of time. Effective demand is when a customer's demand is backed up by the necessary ability and willingness to pay. Even though you want something, oh, I want that shoe, I want that bag. If you don't show your willingness to buy by bringing money, then it is not an effective demand. But by the time you bring out money, oh, the shoe costs 5,000 naira, this is 5,000 naira, then it's called effective demand. The law of demand. The law of demand states that the higher the price, the lower the quantity of goods that will be demanded, or the lower the price, the higher the quantity of goods that will be demanded. And this law will hold under the following assumptions: that there will be no change in the taste and the preference of the consumer. That is, if the taste or the preference of the consumer does not change, then that law will still hold. Then if the consumer's income remains constant, if we see that he is still able to afford that good, then that law of demand is also still in place. Then that there is no close substitute of the commodity. For instance, if there is a close substitute, like you want to buy, let's say, toothpaste, you have close up and you also have another one that, oh, this one too is good, so you will not buy that your original toothpaste again. So that factor. Then that the habit of the consumer remains unchanged. If the habit of the consumer is changed and it doesn't demand that good again, then that law is not holding, it's not binding on him. Then that there is no change in the quality of the product. You know, when a product has been changed, maybe the quality has reduced, people just say, I don't want it again. So once the quality has not changed, then that law will still stand. Now, the demand schedule is a table that shows the relationship between the price and the quantity of the commodity demanded. A table showing the relationship between the price and quantity of that commodity demanded. And this is the demand schedule. They have the price and quantity demanded. At 100 naira, quantity demanded is 10. Then when it is 80 naira, the quantity increased to 20. At 60 naira, the quantity demanded is 30. When it is 40 naira, the quantity demanded increased to 40. Then at 20 naira, the quantity increased to 50. So it shows that law that the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. While the lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded. The following are the factors that affect demand. First is the price. We have stated in the law of demand that the higher the price, the lower the quantities that will be demanded. But the lower the price, the higher the quantities demanded. So when the price of a particular produce is low, people will demand more for it. But when the price is high, then you find low demand. Then the next factor affecting demand is the price of other commodities. That is, commodities that are close substitutes to that particular product. If commodities that are substitutes of that product are cheaper, then the price of that product, the quantity demanded of that product will be lower. People will go for what is cheaper, that can serve the same purpose, than what is higher. Then the next factor is income of the consumer. For instance, if the income of the consumer changes, like reduces, and it is not able to afford a particular good, then his taste will change. It will have to do for what he can afford. So that's another factor. But if the price of the income of the consumer has increased and is able to afford more, then he will buy more from the producer. The next one is changes in the tastes of consumer. Once it's changed, there is a change in the taste of the consumer, then there is a change in the demand for that produce too. If he doesn't want to consume your produce again, then the quantity demanded will be reduced. Then population is another factor. The higher a population, then the higher the quantity of goods they will demand. The lower a population, then the lower the quantity of goods that will be demanded. The next one is expectation of changes in price. When there is a rumor that, oh, this particular produce, the price will go up in a week's time, and because of this factor and that factor, people will start to make every effort to get such produce because of that expectation that the price will be higher. So they will start to gather in more. But when there is an expectation that this produce will be cheaper next week, so people will withdraw, they won't want to buy. So it will affect the demand. Whether the price is going to increase or reduce, there will be a change in demand. Then taxation is the next one. When the tax on a particular produce is high for people to buy, then they won't buy. But when the tax is affordable for them, then the demand will increase. Now, for supply. Supply is the quantity of goods that a producer is willing and ready to offer for sale at a particular price over a given period of time. The quantity of goods that a producer is willing and ready to offer for sale at a given price over a given period of time is what is called supply. It is the ability and willingness to offer for sale specific quantities of goods or services at alternative prices over a given period of time. Then effective supply is the quantity of commodity that a producer offers for sale in the market. The quantity of commodity that a producer brings for sale in the market is called an effective supply. For instance, if a farmer produces 200 tubers of yam and he takes 150 to the market for sale, so the effective supply of such a producer is the 150 he took to the market for sale, not the 200 he produced. So the amount is willing to offer for sale is his effective supply. The law of supply states that the higher the price, the higher the quantity of goods that will be supplied, while the lower the price, the lower the quantity of goods that will be offered for sale by the producer. So the higher the price, the higher he will supply. The lower the price, the lower the quantity he will supply. A supply schedule is a table that shows the relationship between the price and the quantity of commodity that is supplied. And this is a table showing that this is a supply schedule. At 100 naira, the quantity supplied is 50. Then at 80 naira, the quantity supplied is 40 kg. At 60 naira, the quantity supplied is 30 kg. At 40 naira, the quantity supplied is 20 kg. While at 20 naira, the quantity supplied is 10 kg. You can see the law of supply being practicalized here. The higher the price, the higher the quantity supplied. While the lower the price, the lower the quantity supplied. The factors that affect supply include price. Once the price is high, then the quantity supplied will be higher. But when the price comes down, then the quantity supplied will be lower. The price of other commodities also affects supply. When the price of other commodities is now higher, then the producer will be able to supply more. Okay, since this produce is higher now I can also increase the price of my own produce, then increase the supply, since people don't have alternative or choices better than mine. Then level of technology is another factor that affects supply. Once there is a higher or better way of doing things, the cost of production will reduce, thereby it will affect supply. The price will be cheaper and supply will reduce. Then cost of production. When the cost of production is high, the producer may not be able to produce so much because the price will be high. But when the cost of production is low, then it can supply more to the market. Then government policies. There are some government policies that favors supply of goods, while some policies favor withdrawal of goods. Then weather. The weather condition of a particular place affects the supply of produce. Once the weather does not favor the production of goods, especially for a farmer, then the supply will be low. But once the weather is very favorable and a lot of produce are yielding, then you'll be able to supply more. The number of producers will affect supply. When there are a lot of producers producing a particular produce, then you have enough in the market. But when the producers are few, then the supply will also be reduced. Natural disaster is the next one. When there is natural disaster, the agricultural produce is wiped out, then supply will be low. But when there is no disaster, then everything will go on normal. Taxation is another thing. When the government is taxing too much from the producer, then you may not be able to produce more, so the supply will be low. But when the taxation is moderate, then the supply will come up. Now we're talking about the functions of a farm manager. That is an entrepreneur, an agricultural entrepreneur. What functions does he have? He has 5 major functions, which are organization, administration, production, marketing, and evaluation. In his organizational role, he secures suitable land for farming. He looks for a land. Okay, which particular land are we going to use? Okay, this one will be okay. It's fertile. It's located close to water. Okay, we'll be able to do this. It's close to the market. A good road is accessible to good road. So he's the one that will go to look for a suitable land. Then he determines what to produce and the scale of production. Okay, let's produce cassava. Oh no, let's produce maize. So he decides whatever he wants to be produced. Then he's the one that procures loan or capital for the family. He brings money. Okay, we need 10 million naira for this project. So he brings the money either from his savings or from loan. He also recruits and employs labor to work on the farm. He brings in laborers. Okay, we need to employ a number of people so that this work will be achieved in 5 days or in 2 weeks. So it's the farm manager that does that. Now, to his second function, the administrative role. He supervises the work on the farm. He arranges work, roster, and directs staff on their day-to-day activities. Okay, he sets a target for them. This is what I expect you to do by the end of today, so that at the end of this week, we'll have achieved this goal. So he rewards or disciplines staff according to their performances. The staff that does well, he gives him a reward. The staff that misbehaves, he disciplines him. Then he organizes training of manpower in the farm to empower his laborers to do more for him. So he organizes training for them. Then he maintains good labor relationship to avoid disruption of farm activities. He makes sure that he treats his laborers well, he pays them as when due, so that his work will not be affected. Production is the next function of a farmer, of a farm manager. A farm manager is responsible for the purchase and the use of farm inputs. He also makes arrangements for general security of the farm, so that when he buys expensive implements or machineries, he doesn't just come one day and discover that they've been taken away by thieves. So he makes sure that the security of the farm is tight. He ensures adequate supply of feed to his animals. When animals don't feed well, then their production will be reduced, especially for those that produce eggs, milk, and the like. So he ensures adequate supply of feed for them. Then he adheres to modern farming techniques. He doesn't use the old, outdated method. He makes sure that he uses modern farming techniques. Then he also sets production targets and wage level. He determines, okay, we are going to be producing so amount of eggs in a day, then this is the wage of the laborers. Then, to the fourth role of the manager, that's the marketing. It determines the quantity of produce to sell. It determines when to sell and at what price to sell to make maximum profit. That is the function of a manager. He also monitors marketing trends in order to decide on commodities to produce in his farm. Okay, this produce will be good and people will, at least this season is needed and all that, so we are going to produce this. Oh, this produce that we produced the last season will not work this season, so let's change it. So it's the one that monitors marketing trend and decide which commodity to produce on his farm. Then it determines the best marketing channel to use to make maximum profit. He also arranges for storage and warehousing of unsold produce. So he makes sure that storage facility is okay, so that his unsold produce will not just waste away or be destroyed. They can be properly kept and sold at when there is market for it. Then the last role of a farm manager is evaluation. He keeps the general records of the farm. Then he supervises the accounts and bookkeeping of all operations on the farm. The farm manager also analyzes farm operations with respect to the target and the objective. Then he assesses the staffing condition. He tries to look at, okay, with all the goals and everything I've set, which one have I been able to achieve? Okay, which one is yet to be up to date and things like that. So he looks at what he's doing and makes sure that he's really progressing. Now, the last part of this topic and on this class will be problems of a farm manager. What problems does a farm manager encounter? Number one is inadequate information. If he doesn't know that this particular produce or this particular method is no longer being used, or there's a better method to use, he will not get maximum profit. So inadequate information is a problem for him. If he's not acquainted with the latest information from the extension workers, then he will be in trouble. Another one is problems of marketing. After he has made all the production and okay, the produce are ready and he doesn't have market for it and the produce are getting spoiled, then that's a big problem, because that is wasted effort, wasted money, losses on the side. So that's another problem of marketing his produce. Then the next one is inadequate farm inputs, such as seed, fertilizers and the rest. When they are not inadequate, or when they are inadequate, when the farm inputs are not up to what it should be, then the yield will be reduced and that will be lost on the side of the farm manager. Then financial problems, farming takes a lot of money and most of the people that are into farming don't have the money. So when he doesn't have collateral to secure loan, or he doesn't have savings that is enough, then he will not be able to maximize the plans he has in his house. So financial problem is another problem that is encountered by the farm manager. Then inadequate personnel, experts that know what to do, okay, this is what we should do. Then laborers that are capable, that would be another problem for the farmer. If he doesn't have adequate personnel to carry out the vision in his heart, to be able to meet the target that he has set, then that will be the problem. Then government policies. When policies of government don't favor the farmer, for instance, when a lot of goods that the farmers is producing are also being imported, then there will be problem. He's producing meat, chicken, and they are still importing in frozen meats, frozen chicken. Then his produce will not have market to sell. So that's a way government policies will affect a farm manager. Then transport problems. Most roads that leads to farms are very bad roads. So before the farmer moves his produce from the farm to the market, it may take days. The vehicles may get spoiled on the road. So the produce are deteriorating, they're spoiling. So that will be losses on his farm, on his part, and then it will cause a problem to him eventually. Then administrative problems. I mentioned the role is administrative role. So when he's not able to meet all those roles in looking at the staff, checking what they are doing, and then supervising the work, he will not find it funny as a farm manager.